Welcome to Mom's Writers Club. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about what it feels like to start a new book because we both are kind of in the midst of starting books and have come to the conclusion that we
That
generally
the
think,
first half sucks.
we generally
Sorry.
think the beginning of our book is shit until we like get into it and then we're like, oh, it's actually pretty good. So the general idea of this episode is it doesn't suck. Just get through it, keep writing, and eventually you'll be like, oh, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole episode.
Okay. All right. We're done. See ya. No. Um, okay. So talk a little bit about this new book you're starting, like just the process and what it's feeling like.
Okay.
Oh, and talk
So,
about your metaphor with the house.
okay, this is not my metaphor. This is Bianca Marie's metaphor that I now
Oh,
like
yeah.
use
Okay. Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah. And I
And
stole it too.
she, I am sure, said it much more eloquently than I will right now. So you can go find where she said it if you don't like the way I say it. But the idea is that like your story is the inside of the house and you are wandering around trying to figure out how to get inside. You knock on the door, but nobody opens the door. You try the door handle, but of course it's locked. So you like peer through the window, but it's locked and there's like no way to break in. So you like wander around to the back of the house and try to get in that way, or maybe you're going to crawl up the side of the house and try to get in a window, which is what I feel like I'm doing right now.
Right.
But it's you trying to get into the house that is your book. And I feel like that every
Right.
time I start a book. For example, I have written 4 new openings to this book I'm working on. And the fourth one I think is it. Like it's where it's the scene that it needs to be, far enough along on the storyline to like come right before the inciting incident. However, that doesn't mean I wrote it right. So I'm like fucking writing it again.
Right.
But yeah, so for me, it's like when I'm starting a book, I generally have like a hook or like a general idea, and I figure out how that could work into a plot with whatever my character is and what she wants. And then I try to figure out where that needs to begin and how I get inside the damn house.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that metaphor because it's like, there's a story there. It's a big fucking house. Like you can see it. It's right there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you're like, how do I get into this thing and walk through the rooms and live in it and see who's there and all this stuff. And it can really take, like, it took me a long time to get. So I'm halfway through my current manuscript. And it took me forever to feel like I was really inside the house. I felt like I was kind of walking around the garage for a while. And I think I did not start it in the right place. I think like I got into this house through like one of those weird like basement hatch doors that open up like this and you walk down this little weird
And you got
staircase,
in and you're like, where the
you
fuck
know?
am I?
And then I got into the house and it took me a while to like walk around and get upstairs. But now I feel like I got it. Like I'm in this house. I know this house. I know this story. I'm doing it. And I'm just going to have to go back and like
Yeah,
find the front door key. I know I'm going to have to rewrite the beginning, but I'm in
totally.
it. And you know, that's what
Sarah and I
matters.
wanted to talk about this as an episode because we both feel this way just about every time we start a book. So we're guessing other people feel this way too, where you're kind of like, is this a house? And you just are like, you're trying to figure out like if it's going to work or not, or if sometimes it feels like you're on the wrong story. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes people stop writing that book then. And there are times when like maybe it's better to move to a different project, but so often it's when you need to really buckle down and start really trying different things and
Hmm.
considering different parts of your story as potentially being the right beginning and trying to figure out how to get inside. I think that that's just a very normal part of the process. And it's not like I always feel like crap when I'm doing this part of the process because I feel like I'm not succeeding because I'm not getting in the house, but I will get in the house, but not until I try all the wrong ways first, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And you have to like this, it's such a hard part of the process for me too, that writing the first, third to half of
Mm-hmm.
of a first draft, because I have to keep coming back to the page. You know, I have a tendency to overthink, and I have a tendency to like think about the story more than is useful. And I have to keep bringing myself back to the page and actually just write some shit. And it just feels cringy and awful and like, no, 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 this isn't right. This isn't it. No, you know, and I
But
have
you
to
have
just keep
to,
coming back and
yeah,
coming
you have
back
to
and
get
coming
through that.
back.
By
Yeah, exactly.
stopping, you won't figure it out if you stop or if you just,
I know.
you know,
I have
set
to
it
keep
aside. You
going to
it's
that place,
there's
you
this
know?
children's book and it's called, I think it's called We're Going on a Bear Hunt, and my daughter loves it.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. I
there's a
know that
line
book.
in it, you can't go over it, you can't go under it, or you can't go around it, something like that. What do we have to do? We have to go through it. And like you
Oh
have to
no,
go
we
through.
gotta go through it. Yeah, and there's like the boggy mud
Yeah.
and the
There's all this
squishy
shit you have to go
grass
through.
and yeah, right. Can't go over it, can't go under it. Yeah. Oh, I love that
Gotta go
book.
through it. I
I
know.
love
We
that
like
one.
we got it in like a box of random books a neighbor was giving away. Like I don't
Yeah.
even
Going on a bear
know.
hunt.
But
Gotta
yeah,
catch a big
my daughter
one.
loves it. Oh, so this can also be a really good time to have a critique partner in your corner.
Mm,
And we can cut this if this is too much sharing, Sarah. But
mm.
sometimes when Sarah gets like, and I do the same thing with her, this is not like a one-way street, too in her head about the book or is overthinking it, she will send me a voice message or we'll hop on the phone and talk about it. And she'll be like, I'm thinking this, that, and the other thing, or I was thinking that, but I think it's too much. And I'll be like, that sounds fucking amazing. And she'll be like, it does? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. So this is going back to the concept of alpha readers, which Jess introduced me to. We talked about in an earlier episode. So this is like when you have the good fortune to have somebody who you can send like chapters in progress to, somebody who sort of understands you well enough to not over critique something that's like a
Mhm.
super rough draft, you know, somebody who's like just listening for your voice and your story and, you know, giving you some big picture feedback, or maybe just like, you know, and she doesn't always tell me like, oh, this is great. And it's, you know, sometimes she's like, well, you know, doesn't sound like you have your voice yet or whatever. I don't know. Not, um, but to have somebody to give you a little bit of perspective, even at this really super early stage, is can be really really helpful. But it's got to be kind of just the right person, you know.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be alpha reading. I prefer that. I think it works well for us, but sometimes
Mhm.
it's just a conversation that's like,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this
about the
too
story.
out there? Yeah, like I've asked Sarah a couple questions about this next book where I'm like, this is my general plot and situation. Is this believable? Because one of, you know, a problem when writing a thriller is this too out there? Is this something
Yeah.
that like you think could actually happen in real life or that people can um oh, what's the phrase? It's like suspension of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Have I achieved that by doing this, that, and the other thing? Anything else you want to say on this topic?
Oh, I want to talk a little bit about revising in progress. So
Okay.
revising in progress gets, I think, gets a bad rap. I think there's like
The
the
current
the
method
current
is like
wisdom.
write your whole book. And if it's your
Yeah.
first book, I don't disagree with that. Because if I had stopped and revised my first or even my second book, I might not have finished. And I also think it varies by person. However, there's also a lot of
Yeah.
wisdom in revising as you go.
Yeah, so I think the current wisdom is like start your draft and just go. Like go go go, let it be shitty, write it to the end until you have a story and then go back and don't bog yourself down in going back and revising stuff. And I would say like having done all manner of revising in progress, I definitely agree with don't go back and polish. Do not go back and try and make all your sentences beautiful and work out all your details and everything like that. But there are definitely times that I have to kind of like spiral back and like massage some things out and reread and see, does this feel right? And you know, even honestly, sometimes it just reminds me about the story I'm telling, you
Yeah, I
know,
agree.
because at first in those first pages sometimes I'm not as completely immersed in the story. I don't know it as completely as I do, like once I've written the first draft or revised the second draft or whatever. In the beginning, I'm still a bit like, oh, wait, what's happening out on the margins of this story? I forget, you know? And if I kind of go back 10 or 20 pages and just read and tweak a few things, it gets me, it reminds me, or I'm like, oh, wait, that doesn't work at all. I'm going to fix
Yeah,
that before I move forward. There are some points where it's really helpful to like go back and see if you've got any foundational pieces that are going to fuck you up later, you know?
totally. Or to just make sure you're going in the direction that you think you're going. I do this in two different ways. I usually write 10 to 20,000 words or a lot more than that sometimes, and then stop and scrap the whole thing and just start over with the same book. And it's just my process, and I've come to accept it, even though sometimes it's painful. In every book, I swear I'm not going to do it this time, but I always do. The other thing I like to do is when I reach the 1/3 and 1/2 point, I usually stop and reread the whole book from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it just helps me stay on the right trajectory going into
Yeah.
the second half of the book,
Yeah.
which cuts down on revising significantly. Again,
Yeah.
could not have done this with my first couple of books. I didn't have enough experience. I
Yeah.
might not have finished it, but I'm on like book, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something now. And now it helps me significantly. And I feel like it saves me so much time on the back end, not having to be like, oh yeah, I was writing a totally different book for the first half, or
Right.
something like that. So I
Yeah.
do think that, yeah, there's definitely a time and a place for it,
Yep.
especially as you get to know yourself better as a writer.
Yep. Can you hear the
Anyway, I can hear
teenagers
them.
playing
Yeah.
ukulele songs in the background?
I didn't know they were playing ukulele. Can you see my cat's tail? She has a good
Yes, I
tail.
can.
Hashtag Moms Writers Club.
I guess the one last thing I want to say is that I have had to learn to not agonize about whether I have the right first scene.
Yeah,
That
rewrite that at the end of the book.
that yeah, that first scene, those first 5 pages have so much work to do. And I feel like on my first book, I really kind of went over them and over them and over them and over them and over them. And it just wasn't useful. I had to tell the whole story. Like sometimes you have to tell the whole story before you really realize exactly where the right entry point is, you know?
Yeah, just do your best and then know that you can come back and fix it, and that you probably will. I think most first chapters are completely rewritten.
And it can be hard to accept that there are big chunks of your work that you know need revision, that you know are going to change, but you're just not doing it right now because you're writing the rest of the book.
Yeah.
And that can
And
be tricky.
it's also okay. On my last book, I felt like I had built up some momentum, and I actually stopped sending my book to my alpha readers because I didn't want to know what they thought right then.
Yes, yes.
And it's okay to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when I am just like, I love you guys. I totally respect your advice, but I know what I'm doing,
Yep.
hopefully.
Yep.
And I just need to finish it. And
Mm-hmm.
then, because like I didn't, well, part of it is that I just don't have a lot of time to write. And
Yeah.
then, so I didn't have time to like send it to them and then read their feedback and then fix it
Yeah.
and then get to writing. Like I just needed to write to finish the book. And it
Yep.
was in my head strongly enough. I felt okay doing that.
And that book was fucking awesome. So,
Yeah, I think it's my best book yet.
yeah, she was right. She's
Anyway,
got this. She knows what she's doing.
you say that, and I'm like, this next damn book, I have no freaking clue what I'm doing
Right. And you're
because
going to
I'm in
be
this
like, the
beginning
first,
part.
this is like, I don't, this sucks. Maybe this isn't
I'm
a
not in the
story. I
house
don't know
yet.
what I'm doing. I'm throw away this
I feel
30,000
like
words.
I'm on the roof and I'm like, hello.
Oh, that's so funny. I feel like I get in through the basement. I always
I feel
think
like
about
I
like going
climb the
around to like,
walls.
oh,
You peer in the
interesting.
window, and I'm like,
Yeah. That's funny. I feel like I'm
okay,
sneaking around the back where like the grass is all long and spidery and I'm like,
that's creepy.
trying to find the like the weird padlock door that's going to open up for
You
me.
guys, Sarah doesn't know it, but she's a thriller author at heart, and I can't wait to bring her to the dark side.
The dark side. I know.
And on
I'm
that
coming.
note, I think that's everything.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. You can find me on Twitter, where we have our every other Wednesday night chats at Author Just Pain.
And I'm at Sarah Reed Author. Please give us
Whichever's.
a like and subscribe so
Oh
that
yeah,
more folks can join us.
yeah, and you
And we'll
love the
see you
sound of
next
our
time.
voices. You'll be notified of when we post more. Next time, maybe we'll have beverages. Okay, let's call it good for
You
today.
always say that.